Welcome to the CommonHouse podcast, where we talk about marketing, advertising, and the creative that drives business success in the Southeast. And today I'm here with Rob Bridges, who is the CEO of Mad Genius, based in Ridgeland, Mississippi. Rob, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
I'd love to start off, just dive right in. Tell me a little bit about how you came to Mad Genius, what your role there has been, and then just tell me a little bit about the history of Mad Genius.
Yeah, man. Mad Genius has been a 20-year journey. We started the company in 2005. There was 3 partners at the very beginning. It was me, Chip Sarver, and Rick Moore. And we actually had clients before we ever had a name, which was kind of a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
We met in a bar in Natchez, and we just kind of hashed out what we wanted, the vision for the company to be. And all of us were united in that we were looking to be something different. Well, we didn't want to be the Moore Sarver Bridges agency.
Yeah.
We didn't want to name it after ourselves. We didn't even want to be the spotlight of the company. We wanted to really focus on our creative process and our creative product. And we were united there, and we actually wanted to have a lot of fun. I came from a corporate agency. It was kind of one of those places, you might remember in the early 2000s as a creative director, designer, where you sit at your desk in your khaki pants and your tie all day. And I just didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted a blue jeans and t-shirt company. I wanted something fun. I wanted to get up and play guitar, play video games, and have a good time and love what I do. And so Mad Genius was a bold experiment for that. It's interesting. When we came up with the name, there was a lot of back and forth and a lot of ideation over that. And it's an interesting way we landed on it. So there's 2 aspects of creative people. There is the analytical nerd, researcher, explorer, constantly curious, got to learn aspect of who we are. And that's a big part of us. We are nothing if we're not nerds, right? We love to learn. We love to explore. We love to find new things. But then there's the other side of who we are, which is bold thinkers, fresh thinkers, coming up with new ideas, fresh perspectives, pushing the envelope on what's out there for creative economy, whether that's design or copy or campaign building or whatever it is. And so the collision of those 2 worlds, the researcher, the analytical mind, and the creative mind just kind of naturally evolved into Mad Genius. That's the 2 parts of who we are. Yeah. So there's the genius side and the mad side, and we kind of embrace both.
That's awesome. I love that.
The company vision is deliver the unexpected. Another thing that happens when you name yourself Mad Genius instead of the Bridges, Sarver, and Moore agency, if you will, is it creates an expectation.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the minds of your clients, right? You go into a room and you call yourself Mad Genius, they kind of expect something, especially when you walk in with a lab jacket, right? But here's the flip side. The flip side of that is it creates a challenge for everybody that works in the company to live up to the name, which I love.
I love that too.
I love that.
That's fascinating too. And then, I forgot to mention you're here in full gear too, your lab coat and everything. That's awesome. But keeping the branding strong. That's awesome. So I know you mentioned with the name Mad Genius has kind of set the bar for everyone, for you yourself and for everyone else at the company. How do you also kind of create that culture of creativity between you and all your employees?
So I love your question. The question is really about culture, but it's also about accountability. And probably over the 20-year span of Mad Genius, the culture is really what we've been most protective of. Yeah. It's really the thing that we fought hardest for. And it's really rooted in our people. I know that's cliche, and I know you hear that answer a lot, but it starts there. We really strive to hire the best people for their role at Mad Genius. But here's the kick, right? Here's the flip side of that. It's not just hiring talent. It's about hiring fit. Yeah. Mad Genius is a challenging place to work. You know, you have to live up to that expectation. You have to live up to that accountability. and you have to live the brand. You have to be worthy of the lab jacket, man. And it's been an interesting journey to see who stays and who thrives and who washes out. And what I mean by that is there is a culture around Mad Genius born from its people where everybody in that building is a believer in our mission. Everybody's bought in, everybody's invested, everybody's pulling their weight, and everybody in that building is living our brand and holding each other accountable. We have 5 core values. We call them the 5 C's. Let's see if I can name them here without flubbing.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah. But we really hold ourselves true to this because, and we recruit based on this. The 5 C's are curious. We want people who are inquisitive and insatiable and learning. Competitive. We like people with an edge who want to be the best. Collaborative, obviously. We want people who like to partner and like to share ideas and like to participate in others' ideas and celebrate the best idea. Courageous. Oh, there we go. Courageous is a big one. We want people who are not afraid to put something out there, not afraid to put a bold thought, to put a bold notion, to put a challenging thought on the table, to put an idea in front of a client that is going to make that client uncomfortable. We want that in our company. And of course, last but not least, creative. We want creative people. We want creative people on our team. And if we can get people who can live that mission, live those values out, live our brand, then I think the rest takes care of itself. Now, the second part of your question was about accountability. And here's the flip side of the 5 C's. It's not just about our team. It's about our clients. We want clients and we're seeking clients and we're recruiting clients who are courageous and competitive and collaborative as well. And when we get that magic right, when we get that combination right, it really works.
I totally agree. I think you're kind of dead on with that of the hiring people who understand the why behind your business and really buy into that. But then also the flip side, like you mentioned, of finding clients that also understand that why and are bought in on it as well. And that kind of is the ultimate kind of like mixture to create something really, really special is when you have the vision aligning on each sides of that, and it creates a great partnership with you and your clients.
We've learned a lot of hard lessons over the years. When you're a startup, every job's a good job.
Exactly.
And every client's you're grateful for, and don't get me wrong, we are grateful for every opportunity we have today. We've also learned that client agency alignment is a big deal. And when your mission is to deliver the unexpected, and when you are striving to do the very best work you can, you've got to have a client willing to go there. You've got to have a client willing to take risks and willing to not necessarily invest, because that's the wrong word, but it's invest in time, invest in trust. It's not necessarily about dollars. It's about trust and understanding. Those are precious things to us.
Exactly. That's awesome. I love that. And then I know we were talking about this a little beforehand before we started recording, but you mentioned that, you're a creative agency, but you also have a full scale film and production studio underneath that agency. So tell me how that came about, because you didn't start that way.
Mad Genius began as a creative shop, right? We threw our hat in the ring of Mississippi's creative economy, and we were the new kids on the block, and we were taking some bold swings and writing some interesting scripts. In 2010, we had the opportunity to absorb iVox Film and Video into our company. Of course, with that came tons of gear, Grip Electric, tons of really, really talented people, and a 4,000 square foot soundstage. So we became overnight the largest film and video production company in the state. And of course, that's a tremendous luxury at Mad Genius because look, we call ourselves a lab and we embrace the lab jacket and the whole science exploration, scientific method. But our studio is a great place to experiment and explore. We don't really compare ourselves to other agencies. We tend to look inward and just do what we do.
Yeah.
But it is a pretty incredible advantage. And here's what I mean by that. When we write a script, when we come up with an idea, we can test it. We can go to our studio. We can grab our camera gear. We can grab our lights. We can set it up. We can block it. We can shoot it. We can rip it. We can edit it. And we can know our timings. We can know our beats. We know if it's funny. We know if it's emotional. We know all of the camera angles before we ever get into the field to shoot it. And that saves us time. It makes us more efficient.
Exactly.
Saves our clients money. And it allows us to get extra coverage where we're not working it out and problem solving on the fly. Other companies, I suspect, would have to hire a production company to go do all those things. And we don't. We have that playground. We have that bandwidth to go explore and play and figure out what works and what doesn't work. Particularly when we get into the soundstage portion of our company with the green screen and visual effects. There's a lot of technical planning involved in that.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be burning the client's dollar on the clock figuring that stuff out. It's way better to know what you're doing in the studio beforehand.
That's awesome. I really love that. I think you're right. It is a huge luxury to be able to have that advantage. I would say at least of just being able to test things, be able to have your pre-production be much more full than a normal agency's pre-production would be.
Well, and look, having the camera room is a blessing too. I mean, in the world we live in right now where content creation is king, now my designers, my writers, my creative directors and art directors can literally just go grab a camera and go. And everybody's a creator now. And it's pretty cool.
Rob, in your opinion, what do you think sets aside a campaign that just looks good versus one that actually works?
Yeah, results, right? That's what everybody wants. Every CMO, every business owner is what's going to be the return on this investment.
Yeah, exactly.
That's always a fun day. So look, here's the reality there. And Mad Genius is first and foremost a creative agency. When you're driving toward results, we have a very specific philosophy. And the philosophy goes like this. Experiments lead to discoveries. Discoveries lead to breakthroughs. And it takes a breakthrough, literally a breakthrough idea, to get a reaction, to get a result, right? So when you look at the world we live in right now, when you look at brandscapes out there, all these brands competing and living and mingling, the latest numbers I saw were people are receiving 10,000 plus stimulus ads, outreach, pick a word, right? They're getting hit 10,000 plus times a day. And consumers who are living on their phones, living on their tablets, living online, have become remarkably skilled at filtering that stuff out.
Exactly.
It ceases to exist. They zero in on the content they're looking for, and the rest of the world is just blinking in their periphery. And it's amazing to me. It's stunning to me that I look at that stuff and I'm thinking, because I know what it costs. And I'm saying, I'm looking at these national brands, top shelf, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies who are spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars only to be ignored because they don't have a breakthrough idea. They don't have a challenging, disruptive idea. They're playing it safe. And because of it, they're being dismissed completely out of hand. They cease to exist. A lot of folks struggle with that. But there is a way to get to that disruptive idea. And again, Mad Genius has a kind of a tried and true honed process. And not to belabor the point, but over the years of coaching and mentoring, we've figured out that the first ideas you have, everybody, every human being, whether you're a creative or just a non-creative person, the first things you think of are associative ideas. They're things you've seen and heard before. After that, you start experimenting, you start playing, you start failing. Failure is a word that gets abused now, man. I love failure because it means you figured out a way not to do something.
Yeah.
And you're exploring and you're failing and you're pushing and you're not getting the results you want, but you're learning. Right. So there's this middle span of the creative process where you have to embrace failure. You have to push yourself to have as many bad ideas as you can. And only once you get to the end of the road of the bad ideas, all of a sudden you'll figure it out. You'll have an insight. You'll have a critical insight driven by research, driven by trial and error, driven by an understanding that you didn't have when you started the journey. And you can't shortcut to get there. You have to do the work. You have to plow through the associative thinking. You have to plow through the desert of bad ideas. And then you get to fresh, original ideas, disruptive ideas. You have to do the work. So to answer your question, that was a long-winded way to get there, wasn't it?
No, it was great. I loved all that.
To answer your question, though, you got to do the work, man. There's no shortcut to it. You have to push yourself to get to that bold, disruptive, challenging idea that's fresh and new and different. Because why? Because it can't be ignored. It can't be amongst the 10,000 and be dismissed. It's so radical. It's so different. It's so interesting that it can't be dismissed. And
I love that too, because I feel like so much of what you're saying also, that philosophy would not work as well if you didn't already have the foundation of finding clients who are bought into your mission as well. So if you have a client that wants results right away and doesn't want you to experiment, doesn't want you to try or fail, that relationship wouldn't work as well. But finding those clients that are willing to be disruptive and willing to take that path and take those risks is huge to let you do something and create something that actually is disruptive and original.
Absolutely. Now, I want to say this because I know folks are going to be listening and watching, and I don't want to mislead.
Yeah.
You have to honor the brand equity that's there. Yeah. And you have to honor client goals.
Yeah.
There's two parts to that, though. There's the creative journey, which we just talked about, but there's also, like you mentioned, the account side, the client side, where you work with that client to narrow that goal.
Yeah.
So often, particularly in young businesses and small businesses, they want to do everything. I want to grow market share. I want to sell widgets. I want to do.
Yeah.
And you can't create a campaign or a message or a platform that does all of those things effectively. So the accounts team really has to step up and be geniuses and help that client understand, let's narrow that KPI. Let's narrow the goal so that we can really move the needle on it. The smaller that goal is, the more effective we can be.
Yeah. Can you share with us like a mad genius moment? Something that you think is just like peak mad genius, a campaign that you were really excited about, loved from beginning to end, and then just turned out exactly kind of as you hoped. One of your favorites, I guess.
Yeah, man. Well, you're asking me to choose my, which of my daughters I like the most.
Exactly. Yeah. Over 20 years. Exactly.
So, that's going to be tough. Sitting here today, I'm reminded, we're doing some great work right now. We're doing some of our best work we've ever done right now. But over the years, there's been tons of moments. So an interesting story. We were entering a new relationship with the Mississippi State Department of Health. They wanted a campaign that would encourage junior high kids, teenagers, 12-year-olds, not quite teens.
Yeah.
They wanted a campaign that would encourage junior high kids not to vape. Vaping is bad. Vaping is terrible for your health. And they were interested in targeting that audience and connecting with that audience, which that audience is notoriously difficult to target.
Yeah, for real.
It's incredibly challenging to find them online, to find them in media channels, traditional media channels especially. So we did what Mad Genius does. We began with research. We began with understanding. We began with building a war room of knowledge about who these kids are, what drives their behaviors, what drives their choice, what are they into, what are they not into, how do they react and relate to parents, and what's that relationship like? We dug into all that stuff, and what we learned is that they have invented a language all of their own. Whether the word is skibbity or Riz or only in Ohio or pick a word.
Yep. My wife's a fourth grade teacher, so unfortunately I know all of those terms.
You're all into it. And that was interesting to us. That was a big playground for us. But the dynamic between those kids who are so cool and in the moment and dropping pop culture references with one another, they're in the club.
Yeah.
By definition, parents are excluded from the club. Parents aren't allowed to say those words. And so what if the question became, what if we introduce those words to the parents' vocabulary and made it really, really cringy? What if those kids reacted to vaping that way? And so Vaping is Cringe was born. Yeah. And we're very proud of it. And it's actually gotten some national buzz. It's been looked at by the CDC.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
And the text hotline, the kids are calling the text hotline and chatting with the folks there at Department of Health. And it's just been fun, man. Awesome. So that's one. That's one that was sort of born from insight. And I learned some things on that shoot. And that I didn't know. I didn't know those words before that moment.
That's awesome. That's really fascinating. I love kind of digging down at the research that happens before, like taking that from beginning to end is really, really cool.
And, we've hung on to that case study because when you look at that world, it's very colorful. It's very bright. It's very junior high.
Yeah.
It's unmistakable.
That's great. Well, we're almost out of time, but I want to end it. We always try to end these with a hot take. And one for you, I think, is if you could give me some, or maybe just one example of national brands today who you think are really hitting the mark right now with the way culture is, the way marketing is going, who are doing it really well, and maybe even one that's not doing so bad, that's missing the mark right now. Like you mentioned, like brands that are just totally getting ignored because they're not willing to.
That's a fascinating question, man. Because the world, we were talking about this earlier. The world is changing so fast. Yeah, everything's different now. And we were just actually talking about Gen Z, right? And that's what, as I look out over what's happening in our industry right now, I see everybody struggling to hit that audience. I see everybody struggling to react and connect with Gen Z. Grand old brands that have been at the top of their game for decades are struggling to connect with that audience. And here's the reality, folks. Gen Z is going to be the largest consumer buying index in just 5 years. By 2030, they're projected to have $12 trillion of buying power. And that's going to drive business. It's going to drive economy. And when you look out and see who's doing it well, it's the brands that have figured out how to pivot, speak to the Gen Z audience, but not alienate what got them there. Yeah. So it's brands like Nike. Glossier is doing a fantastic job right now. Patagonia, Duolingo's having a moment. I mean, they're killing it. The second part of your question, who's struggling? Well, I mean, to a degree, everybody is because it's so difficult of a target to hit. Yeah. But just looking out, I mean, the Jaguar rebrand was a huge misstep in my opinion. It's almost tone deaf to their existing stakeholders, to their brand advocates, to their brand loyalists. It's such a hard pivot that the verdict's still out there on that, but I wonder if it's going to be successful for them.
Yeah.
Likewise, the Kellogg's campaign, cereal for dinner, it just felt tone deaf. It felt like it didn't understand its audience and who it was talking to. So those are just a few examples and things that we're looking at and learning from. But it's all rooted in how are we going to pivot? I know we're out of time, but I'm old school.
Yeah.
I've been a CD and a creative leader for a long time, and everything we learned, everything that we've absorbed experientially over the years has been taught to us by the buying habits of baby boomers.
Yeah.
And Gen X to a degree, but mostly baby boomers. And unlearning all of that.
Exactly.
And embracing how to connect with Gen Z is a challenge.
It's so tough.
And Mad Genius is doing it well.
Well, Rob, thanks so much for being here today. I really loved hearing all that insight. It was fascinating hearing about the history and your mission and just kind of how you align with those core values to, like I mentioned before, like match those clients and the employee side and create that culture. You're doing great work, and we're so glad to have you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely.